Yesterday we had a conversation about dying, and I was explaining that the only reason that we see dying the way that we see it is because we see our lives as point A that's going to point B. So there's one point, right? The point that we get born. Yeah, so there's this point we get born. And then there's this point that we're gonna die. And then here we are living somewhere in the middle of those two. When in reality, when you look from now, in the pure now, that the now is now, this time collapse, this time, these limits that are set by this time, they collapse. But we don't let them collapse. Like we are in the way of that collapsing because we so strongly hold this belief that we are born and then we die and we are somewhere in the middle of that. The question was something like, is this all that we're doing? Is it some kind of preparation for this moment that when we're gonna die, that we then, like if we have learned enough, that we like somehow then got it. So then when we die, we like choose and like, oh yeah, we have it now. So the way I see it is that that is not somehow solution or a certain moment when we get the when we have like had an exam, did we get it or did we don't get it. That in that is just something else as an experience. Like we're going through experiences every day, and that is just another kind of an experience. So it's not if you like got it when the moment gets there, when you're dead. It's like you can already get it before your body actually died, because you are not the body. You believe you are the body. You believe I was born in this day and I am gonna die at a certain time, and now I am in the middle of it. But how do you know this? How do you know this? Where did you get this information from? You cannot be in the now and say, no, but I was born there and I have lived through these experiences and they have made me this kind of person and this is why I am now the way that I am now. But how do you really know? How do you know that you did not wake up in this body today? In the same way that when you go to sleep, you wake up in another kind of body. Because where do you go when you go to sleep? You go to sleep, right? Your body goes to sleep. Your body is laying down. Your body is going to go to sleep. So then where do you go? Because you go somewhere, right? Sometimes you have dreams, you see things, you see dreams, you experience things, right? So that part is waking up in that moment. In the moment when it goes in the dream, it wakes up and it goes through an experience. But then what happens is when you wake up in this body again, maybe not again, but when you wake up in this body, you just keep reminding the same story. You're downloading the same information. You just put in the same disc. It's like when you play music, you just put in a disc, right? When you put in the same disc, you get the same disc. You get the same song every time. Every time you put in the same disc, you get the same song. This is what we do. We wake up and we decided this is who we are. We have this character, this is what we like, this is what we don't like. We have made so many decisions about life. These decisions, this is our limitation. This is our bondages. That's the word I was searching for. These are our bondages, these beliefs. This is what we hold through. And they are very subtle. And they come in ways that they resonate with our stories. So they come with things that have a lot of emotion and patterns. So you can see them in your family, whether it is addiction or whether it be positive things as well. When you see wealthy people, they know how to make money, for example. You see that the children, most of the time, they take on these habits. They take on patterns, they take on decisions. Like this is the way that life is. When you're poor, then you know I'm poor. This is the way that life is. I'm just poor. You keep looping. We kept looping. And why this observing? So why this consciousness is such an important thing? So why people point to meditation is because when you start observing, you see the loops before you get in it. So when you're in it, things make us looping in the same loops. But when you start seeing the loop coming before you're looping, you can choose, do I go into this loop, yes or no? Do I want to go into this loop, yes or no? This is what freedom is. Freedom is not following blindly what is telling your head that it is that you want. Because even though you might think that you feel that you want these things, they're not always completely true when you look deeper into your own being. We find a lot of times chasing a projection from someone else that they feel how our life is supposed to look like. When, for example, your mom feels a certain way about certain things, but you actually feel different about this, but you want to please her, you don't want to disappoint her, so you keep doing this thing to please her. And it's draining your energy, but you keep continuing to make someone else happy. And unconsciously, we are trapped in a lot of these situations where we just keep powering someone else their needs. What I'd like to see is people grabbing back the responsibility of their power and to start directing it into a direction that is empowering. And empowering in the deepest sense of the word. Empowering, the way that I observe this word is that it empowers collective field. And when it comes from a power that is true or pure from inside, like a ball of love bursting into light, we're gonna ripple ourselves back into peace.